If you're running a business right now, you don't need me to tell you that conditions have become tougher. Costs are up, margins are being squeezed, cash flow is under pressure, and for many business owners, the numbers simply don't work the way they used to. Yet, many businesses are still thriving. So what's separating those businesses from those that are struggling? My guest today is Shannon Drew from Blaze Business and Legal. Shannon is a management accountant, fractional CFO, and business advisor with more than 25 years of experience working inside and alongside Australian businesses, with particular expertise across construction, civil, and infrastructure. And that means he gets to see what's really happening behind the numbers. In this episode, we take a fairly unfiltered look at the current economy. We talk about why so many businesses are experiencing cash flow stress, which industries are holding up well, which ones Shannon would be cautious about entering right now, and what business owners are saying behind closed doors. And it's not all doom and gloom. We explore what successful businesses are doing differently, the importance of understanding your margins and cash flow, and some of the practical strategies business owners can use to adapt, strengthen their position, and survive difficult economic conditions. And you may be surprised to hear some of his answers. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Shannon Drew.
Of a life that's true, building something bigger than me or you. If you're ready to grow, then this pass for you. Welcome to Allies on Pursuit.
This episode is brought to you by New Horizon Financial. Whether you're growing a business, buying a home, investing in property, or upgrading equipment, New Horizon Financial provides tailored lending solutions to help business owners, investors, and professionals achieve their financial goals with confidence. Contact your local NHF credit advisor today on 1-300-133-597 or visit www.nhfaus.com.au. And now, on to the show. All right, Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chad. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you, mate. Listen, over the past few months, we've both been having a lot of conversations with business owners, and feels like something shifted in the market right now. What are your sort of thoughts?
Yeah, a lot has shifted in the market. We've had a lot of economic pressures. We've had interest rate hikes. We've had cost of fuel going up. We've had wage increases, insurance increases, CPI increases, rental increases. It's all affecting business all the way around, mate.
Yeah, it's it's trying times, and it'd be easy to get sucked into the sort of vortex of negativity and doubt. But ultimately, we've been through a lot in Australia. Australia is a resilient country. The people are strong. We're all hard workers. What do you sort of see on the horizon?
Look, very good question you raised there. We're going to see retail struggle for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. So, our traditional shopping malls, we're going to see retail, fashion, restaurants, takeaways, all those sort of luxury end items. We're going to see those businesses struggle.
Yeah.
That cost of living sort of pressure. People don't have the extra bucks to spend on those sorts of luxury items. We're seeing in industries such as construction, civil construction, that's doing quite well with a lot of infrastructure here in southeast Queensland and throughout top end of Queensland. We've got the games coming up pretty soon, come September. They're talking about awarding the jobs to the contractors, so builds can start happening. Education can keep rolling on. And we'll start seeing some good things in that space.
So, what do you think is driving pressure on small business in particular? What do you think outside of fuel?
Yeah, of course.
Outside of the obvious.
Yeah, look. There's a couple of things I guess in small business that we need to take into account. The pressures of maintaining margin and still being able to ask a reasonable price for our product in the market.
Yep.
And having the consumer accept that price. So in saying all of that, we've got basic costs going up, such as wages, such as I mentioned before, fuel, freight, CPI increases to rent, CPI increases to things like, rates, stamp duties.
Yes.
We've got even interest rates around equipment finance.
Yep.
Interest rates around, commercial lending, interest rates on overdrafts. And then we've now got payday super. So that's created a cash flow hole for people. Look, there's a number of factors. So when we put all those factors together, our margins, which might have used to been in some cases, say 20, 30, 40% on product, we're getting a margin squeeze now.
Yeah.
We're dropping, 5% gross profit margin, which then on the bottom end, your net profit is reducing somewhat. Yeah.
Yep.
So your margins are almost halving, but we're unable to pass these costs on to our consumer.
That's it.
Because our consumer isn't prepared, or at the moment, the consumer can't tolerate that price rise.
That's it. I think a lot of people are starting to just feel that pinch on their, on their daily spending, and their pocketbooks are starting to feel a little bit less abundant than they once were. So, instead of eating out, we want to eat at home instead of going to the games or, going to a concert or travel. They find more sort of cost-effective ways to keep, to entertain ourselves. And I know that businesses are struggling because you see more and more vacancy signs come up. You see a lot of local businesses here in Caloundra, for example, that have been around for years. I'm thinking of that surf shop that's...
Oh, absolutely. The surf shop was there for, probably 40, 50 years down the bottom end of the main street.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
That was like a family legacy business.
Exactly.
It's quite sad to see.
Yeah, I agree. And look, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, because obviously your background, you being, from a strategic accounting background, for someone who's, with so many years experience working with small businesses, perhaps you can offer some insight and strategy on how people can sort of not just survive the times, but actually find ways to grow within this current economic climate.
Absolutely. Look, there's a number of solutions we can put in place to assist business to strategically move through this point in time, but also set stable foundations for the future as well.
Okay.
Because we've also got to sort of re-engineer our process and re-engineer our thought process on where we want business to land at the end of the day.
Yep.
We've got to re-engineer the process, and we've got to sort of start at the end and then come back to the start. So we've got to ask ourselves the question, what is our exit strategy?
Yeah.
Where do we want to see ourselves in 5 years' time, 10 years' time as business owners?
Okay.
What are the current challenges we're facing at the moment
Yep.
in business? Yeah.
Yep.
So you'll find a lot of small businesses fundamentally don't have employment contracts in place.
Interesting. That's an interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that as a first consideration.
Well, your employees are your greatest assets, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And you've got to have an employment contract to have leverage, then to also set KPIs and expectation of what needs to be delivered within the business and the business model.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've got to have employment contracts and position descriptions that are very specific to our strategy moving forward.
Yep.
Okay. So it's like taking a salesperson's role. Okay. You don't say, oh, welcome, John, to the team. Here's the product to sell, mate. Right. We've got to set John down some KPIs.
Yeah.
We've got to say, John, these are our reach targets. This is our expectation. This is our current customer list. This is how our current customers respond to market price. These are their little quirks. We have sales meetings fortnightly or weekly.
Yep.
Setting down expectation. Yeah.
Yep.
And then we have our internal sales staff. Okay, how are we going to train our internal sales staff? What items are we going to get them to upsell?
Yes.
The old would you like fries with that?
Yeah.
This is the way, we start acting out our strategy in business. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the way we start going, okay, well, we can sell $10 million worth of product this year.
Yeah.
Because we've got the structured framework.
Yep.
We're measuring and we've got accountability.
Yes.
There's more. These are the things we need to be looking at on a micro level.
Yep.
And we need leverage to do that. And this is hence we need employment contracts with good position descriptions and forecasting.
Yep.
Yeah. Not only do we need financial forecasting, we also need a commercial strategy as well.
Yeah. Okay. Keep it going. I love this.
Yeah. Yeah. So we need a commercial strategy that falls in line with our financial forecasts. Yeah. And we've got to keep moving our business forward.
Yeah.
Okay. So say our target this year, or say our forecast sales are $10 million this year.
Yep.
For us to grow with the cost of living, and the increased prices over time,
Yep.
we've got to probably increase prices roughly by 10 to 15% each year.
Yep.
Yeah. So if we're just looking for non-aggressive growth, we want $1 million worth of sales, $10 million worth of sales this year to be 11 million to 11.5 million the year after, and keep growing by 10 to 15% year on year.
Makes sense. Yep.
If we're going for more aggressive growth in our pricing model, we've got to go for 20 to 25%.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got to have a good financial forecast,
Yep.
a good reach target, which allows the business to grow with the economic costs moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah. And we've got to aim towards the exit strategy.
Okay.
Are we building a brand that we want value in that brand
Yep.
to sell the business
Yep.
in the future? Or are we looking for cash savings at the end of the day with the business not worth anything as such because you've made your profit up front?
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. I never thought of that.
Yeah. So it depends it depends where you want to land at the end of the day. And we work with our clients, giving them many options at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So look, we've got to have an end goal in mind. Let's work through a few options to get there. And what is it you want at the end of the day? So most owners at the end of the day want their home loans paid off. They want any loans they put back into the business paid off.
Yep.
And if they own commercial property, they'd like their commercial property paid off because that's where the cash is sitting in that equity.
Yes.
And if you think about it, if you've got a business that turns over $10 million and you want to go and sell it for, say, $5-6 million at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we've got to think, well, okay, do people have the legs to buy a $5 to $6 million business? Can they get finance for that?
Yeah.
And yourself as a financier,
Yep.
we know people struggle to rally up that equity.
That's exactly what I'm thinking straight away. It's that upfront contribution, that security.
Correct.
A lot of people think, look, you could have a very viable business here. It's got a great track record. It's valued at, the example you said, $5 million. It's turning over a profit.
Yep.
But at the same time, there's not a lender on earth that will take 100% liability.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't have a potential buyer that has, $2 million worth of equity to tip into it.
Well, they're very rare. That's
rare.
for sure.
Yeah. And, again, it's just the value we've seen in things since COVID.
Yes.
Property, Southeast Queensland,
Yep.
almost doubled, more than doubled.
Yeah.
Commercial property, almost doubled.
Yep.
What people are asking for business now.
Yep.
You look on linked services or, the business broker pages, those sorts of things. The price that they're asking and the return that you're getting just doesn't correlate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's
too.
because
I understand that.
the businesses have been deaded up.
Yep. Yep.
So they're looking for big numbers for a buy or a sell to service or pay down debt.
Okay.
And it's just not there.
Yeah, so they're trying to sort of sell their way out of the trouble that they've encountered in the more recent years, and it's a distress sale is what it is.
Correct.
And that's the problem. I think a lot of people they wait till they're in trouble before they start making significant moves. I see that in finance. We offer a lot of cash flow funding. A lot of unsecured capital, lines of credit. When people are are killing it and they're kicking ass, they don't reach out for that because they don't feel they need it. Then when times are tough, they start retracting. They then reach out and say, hey, actually, now's a good time for me to take advantage of some of that capital. And it's like, well, actually, now that you're going backwards, lenders aren't so keen to offer you that money.
Absolutely.
But so a lot of people don't think ahead in that regard. You know, you can open up a line of credit and never use it. It's better to take advantage of the capital is available to you when you're on a winning streak. Have those resources available in case, you know, you start seeing a downward turn rather than waiting to the last minute once you're in strife and then reaching out for a helping hand. Banks just don't operate like that.
No. As soon as banks see a poor balance sheet and poor BASs and ATO debt.
Yep.
Well,
oh, you're going backwards. You're a sinking ship. Now we'll jump because they're the first to jump. On to the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So hence there I circle back to good planning in your business.
Yeah.
Planning, patience, execution is really what we need in business. Yeah. Even if we're starting with very little, a good plan goes a long way. And we stick to the script. We tact if we need to, but we have options when we tack. You know, if we don't have this strong planning in place and we don't have the strong fundamentals in place, we do fall into these holes.
Yeah.
And as you and I have both worked on deals for many clients actually, where we've had to refinance commercial property, home property, to then pay down ATO debt, to then pay down the short-term debts that people have.
The higher interest debts.
And we're not talking small biscuits.
No.
You know, look at one of those last deals we did. We paid off almost $800,000 worth of short-term debts.
Oh, I know.
Including ATO.
Absolutely.
Now, that's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And thanks to COVID, yes, property prices have gone up. But due to people's poor planning, they didn't pay their debts as they were going.
Honestly,
and they weren't marching up their retail prices I discussed before.
There's that too. I've seen businesses and I know businesses that have gone under because COVID was a killer for a lot of retail. Even businesses that were able to obtain funding to carry them through. We were then hit with floods and all sorts of other challenges that never gave them the rapid recovery that they were expecting. And those high interest loans actually buried them. And
great.
If you don't, I think that's why property is such an important asset to hold within your portfolio. Because even as inflation creeps and everything gets more expensive, at least you've got that safety net. You've got that extra equity that's building in the property that you can draw upon to help service those debts. And look, there are, several lenders on panel that will allow us to, lend up to 100% of a property's value, so long as they hold the interest in that title.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, there's a couple of schools of thoughts on that.
Oh,
And depending upon, like I often talk about this with business owners, I look at sort of our age cycle. Going on to 50. I've got many clients who sort of sit between the age of 30 and 60. Yeah. And we talk about this often. What's your risk appetite? What's your risk appetite and how hard do you want to hit it? So you've got to kind of look at your age. You've got to look at where you want to land and how much energy you have as a business owner to keep moving forward and overcoming the challenges and readapting.
100%. Yeah.
And this is why I say it comes back to good planning and good foundations within business and access to lines of credit, as you say, or overdrafts or equity to keep moving your business forward. But most importantly, good decision making. Yes, it's nice to have a new this. It's nice to have a new that. But do we really need it?
Yeah.
Do we really need it? Can a Toyota Land Cruiser be a GWM or GMV ute?
Basically, the Great Walls.
The Great Walls or whatever.
The Chinese brands that are coming out now. Yeah.
Like, do we have to invest $160,000 in a Land Cruiser it's on our wish list?
Yeah.
But do we need it? Can we buy a ute for $50,000 with a third of the finance cost a month?
Yeah, you're speaking like a true accountant, aren't you?
Yeah,
you are.
Kind of.
You are.
But what I guess what I'm trying to get to is this is how you build wealth.
Exactly right. A lot of people they forget the fundamentals.
Correct. You're better off with a property that's paid down than a short-term debt on something that isn't really worth anything at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's
unless it's really needed.
Well, this is we talk about a lot of strategies of using funding and tax deductions as a way to help build wealth. What's your views on things like, for example, debt recycling? I talk a lot about that on some of my, Instagram reels. I understand how it works. I discuss it with a lot of people. Is it a sound financial decision, though, to sort of take an asset like your home, borrow for your company because it's tax effective?
Again, it depends on what you're investing in. Okay, so as an example, if you had a good startup business or you're purchasing a good business that is, say, a manufacturer.
Yeah.
Okay, so say you're into manufacturing and say it's a commodity like plastics.
Yeah.
Right? And you're manufacturing plastic bags, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're selling them to the commercial market.
Yeah.
Et cetera, right? And you review those accounts and you go, you know what, this is throwing a lovely profit margin. And it's got a nice net profit at the end of the day. And I've got the ability to draw out maybe $300,000-$400,000 in profits at the end of the day, whether or not that be through wages or distributions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to buy the business, it's going to cost you about $600,000.
Yeah.
And you sort of say to yourself, look, my home's valued at $2 million. I've got $400,000 mortgage. I can pull a $600,000 out of my home.
Yeah.
And I can buy the business.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a return of $300,000 or $400,000 a year on that business.
Yes.
So my objective would be for the first 3 years, I'll be paying down that $600,000 first, back to myself.
That's interesting. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. You borrow the money from your property. Look, I come from, all of the experience that I have, again, at my ripe old age of 50. And the sort of best advice that I believe is applicable is that people should really focus on paying their homes down.
Absolutely.
Homes down. Yeah, you can hold that interest on any sort of business endeavor and understand that it is tax deductible. And yes, you can make the interest on your home tax deductible. But as far as I can see, you're taking longer to pay off the asset. Yeah, it's going up in value. You're paying interest on something that really shouldn't attract interest in the first place. Unless, like you're suggesting, borrowing that money for something that shows significant gain in a short period of time that would outperform the property itself. Is that sound or is that...
Absolutely.
Am I missing something?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So the whole idea is to pay down your home loan first.
Yeah.
Because when you go to retire, and I circle back to at what age are you in your current business? Yeah. Like I would like to think that I'm on the back end now of my career. I'd say I've got another 10 years left in me and I'll be semi-retired. All right. However, to do that, I need to ensure our home loan is paid off in full. Yeah. If we decide to downsize, I've got surplus cash.
Yep.
And I'm still living in a nice place.
Yeah.
My children have flocked the nest. And as myself and my wife, we don't need a big house anymore. Yeah. All we need is sufficient, and surplus cash. So you've got to look at where you are in terms of your age and your business cycle. Yeah. And paying down your core debt because that's where your cash is going to be. Yeah. And this also circles back to how much can I sell my business in the future for? Don't bank on the value in your business being sold in the future. Bank on paying down your core assets.
Yeah.
Commercial property, home loan, rental property, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Or if it's not property, it's in a portfolio.
So let's talk about investment properties holding debt. Let's talk about paying. So at the moment, sound advice sounds simple, but a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people, even if they do get it, they tend to forget it. You know, even small differences in your mortgage payment, you could make an extra $600 a month payment, and you're going to save, you know, $30,000 on the course of the loan. You're going to shave at least, I don't know, 6 years off the loan.
Absolutely.
That's it may seem insignificant, but the more you do it, the faster it gets paid, and the more value you're actually going to receive from that. Because a lot of people, they're thinking capital gains, but they're not thinking cost of ownership.
Exactly right. Cost of ownership for, if you're looking at a rental property, cost of ownership is quite expensive now.
Yeah.
So, you know, you take Calandra South, for example.
Yep.
Your average purchase price of a new 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single garage house sits somewhere between $750,000 to $900,000, say.
Okay.
You're a first home buyer. Yeah. We've got to find at least 5% deposit. Yeah. Then we've got to find mortgage serviceability. And we're talking first homeowners who are normally in the infancy of their careers, probably have young children, 2 motor vehicles, and cost of living on top of that. Now, even though it's difficult to pay that extra little bit of cash on that mortgage, will save them on the back end and start building equity in their property, you know, giving them the ability then to upsize if they need to, or in the future, if they retire early, they can downsize and have cash left over, you know. But if we look at, say, the cost of maintaining a rental property, we've now got, if you were to go out and buy a second-hand property and market with the government changes, we've got the capital gains issue on the back end. We've got potential land tax every year that we need to pay on that. We've got our interest. We've got our landlord insurance. We've got our repairs and maintenance. Interest rates are going up. They're sort of maybe plateauing for the next 6 months. We're not sure yet. Verdict's out on that.
My crystal ball is a little bit dusty at the moment.
Yeah. So when we sort of add all those factors in, over owning an investment property over, say, look, probably 20 years, you're not breaking even. You might break even at year 15 to 20 if you're 80% mortgaged on that property. Even though rents are going up, they're not going up anywhere near enough to cover all those costs.
Well, I think that's an important consideration a lot of people don't really take into account. The average sort of rent return on properties for reasonable properties is 4.5%, 5% per year. You're paying 6% in interest, 5.5%, 6%, whatever it happens to be. You're not making money here. You're making money purely on capital gains and, of course, your available tax deductions. Is that correct?
Well, look, you're making money on the tax deduction side of it, but you're not making it with the capital gain really at the back end, because
I really believe that.
If you buy a property today for, say, $800,000, you're selling 20 years for what? Maybe double?
Yeah.
Say one. Oh no, it's hard.
I'd love to see if we'd continue the same rate of growth we've seen the last 5 years, but is that sustainable? I don't know.
Look, again, crystal ball sort of stuff.
Yeah.
This is just a hypothetical example,
of course.
Right? So say it doubles in price. That's $1.6 million.
Yeah.
Then you're subject to capital gains on, if it's a property just recently purchased, that's 100% subject to capital gains.
Yes.
So say mum and dad or de facto partners have bought that property.
Yep.
$400,000 goes each way to each other's tax returns that year.
Yep.
And then they're paying PAYG rates on that.
Yeah.
There's no CGT discount anymore. And that's massive, right?
It's always been, I think that's, right now you talk to anybody in real estate, they're all telling you the same thing. Buyer confidence is way down. The auctions are less, there's nobody at the auctions. People are asking for discounts. That quiet confidence in the accelerated growth we've seen in the last, post-COVID, I think everyone's started to realize, okay, we've seen that. I think the end of that. We saw first home buyers, that 5% deposit scheme, that definitely brought a lot of people into the market. We saw significant growth in that end of the market. And all of a sudden, we've now topped out again. The amount of people that actually can afford $1 million house, we've kind of maxed them out. So I think a lot of people are thinking twice about real estate as a get rich quick scheme and starting to look at it as a more strategic long-term investment. And I think that's what you're sort of suggesting. Am I wrong?
Just circling back to your capital gain that you'd have to pay in terms of tax, right?
Yeah.
You need to factor that in and add that back over that 20 years.
Yeah,
so again,
that's what I'm thinking.
Where do I want to land in the future?
Yeah.
What could it look like? And how much rent do I need to charge to try and recover that so my property breaks even over that period of time? So I think if you were looking to invest in property at the moment, it's difficult in my mind to justify it.
Wow. That's a big statement.
Yeah, it's difficult in my mind to justify it in terms of getting your rent in the long term. You have to be very strategic about places you look and the deals that you're going to do.
All right.
Yeah, like just with that example we just worked through and knowing, say, Caloundra South area.
Yeah.
That equation doesn't work.
Okay.
Does it? Because we would, if we bought a house here for $800,000 today, we would struggle to rent it for $800, $880 a week, right?
Okay.
We'd have to be renting it for at least $700 to $750. Then we've got to service our debt. Then we've got to pay our rates. Then we've got to do all that. And then if we look at our future state of play, how much capital gains tax are we going to pay on that? Add that back. It's not looking like a great deal at the end of the day.
This is what I gathered from you. And even before we started speaking today, you and I had a conversation. Again, I'm going back to this long term.
Yeah.
Like property, if it will really start to return maybe after 20 years, closer to 30 years. That sort of idea that people are going to make significant growth in 5-10 years and it's all going to, be a good news story. Maybe. But the likelihood you're sort of suggesting from my conversations with you is that that might not be the best strategy for wealth creation in the current climate. Have I understood you correctly?
Yeah.
What do you believe would be a good strategy for people out there who want to invest, whether it be in businesses, whether it be in...
Look, from a business owner's perspective, and mind you, we're talking about this from more of a business owner's perspective.
Of course.
Because we're kind of looking at, okay, how do we reinvest our profits back into our future wealth? Yeah. So to invest our profits in our future wealth, what do we look at? Do we look at putting money into a portfolio and aiming for, 10 to 14% return?
Okay.
Which if you speak to really good financial planners out there, I think they'd be able to achieve that for you in this current state.
Yep.
And then if we look at sort of the long run of higher risk type portfolio investment, they've actually performed fairly well over the last many years.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, none of us have got a crystal ball.
No.
But again, it's planning. It's reviewing your portfolio. How is it performing? Is it giving me the growth and the diversity I need? Instead of taking out a loan for property or commercial property, do I throw all my surplus cash into a portfolio?
Yeah.
Whether that be through a super fund or whether or not that be through your own personal wealth portfolio.
Yeah.
Is that better than having mortgage debt and the cost that's associated with that mortgage and the return on that? And if you compare that to, say, the compounding effect of interest on your portfolio, will that outperform the property? It's something that people just need to sit down with their planners and really work through those nuts and bolts and do a true comparison.
Yeah, me and my partner, Ali, were talking about this a lot recently, just in terms of what the next move is. Having a couple of properties behind us, thinking, where do we want to head? Obviously, at my age now, I believe one of the greatest assets I still have is my superannuation and the ability to funnel a lot of money into that with a very limited tax. So I think outside of that, outside of superannuation, is small business still a sound investment? I know that's a big question.
Look, it is, and it depends what sectors you're moving into.
Let's talk about it.
Look, personally, would I buy a fashion outlet? No.
Okay.
Very, very hard to make good margin at the moment.
Yeah.
Would I buy a grocery store? Again, a lot of hard work to make that margin.
Okay.
Would I buy a manufacturing business that has good margin? Yeah, I would.
Yep.
Yeah, I would. Would I buy, in terms of retail, if we just go back to retail, would I buy a bottle shop? Yes. Would I buy a pharmacy? Yes.
Yep.
Even though you need to have a pharmacist as a business partner,
yep.
50-50 business partner.
Yep.
Let's see. So in relation to pharmacies, yes, you have to have a pharmacist as a 50% owner and yourself as a 50% owner. We've got to remember that, say, 60% of the income that comes through from pharmacies is government money.
Yeah.
It's government assisted prescriptions. Yeah. Fantastic cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Good business model.
Okay.
Bottle shops, good business model. Yeah. Employees on the floor, don't need many, unless you're Dan Murphy's. But we all can't own Dan Murphy's.
What? You can't own a Dan Murphy's? You can't buy them as a franchise?
No, I believe they're part of a retail group.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
They're a machine.
Yeah.
But your smaller sort of bottle shops, you might have one staff member on.
Yes.
So low staff costs. Yeah.
Makes sense.
People like to drink at home now instead of going out to restaurants. Unfortunately. So good business model. Daycares used to be a good business model.
You said used to be. That's interesting.
Yeah, look, margins are becoming a little bit tight.
Yeah.
And staff are becoming hard to get.
Okay.
Educated sort of staff.
Yeah.
And there's certain compliance requirements with how many people have to be on the floor and so on and so forth. So it's getting a little harder to run now and make margin. Look, and as I say, there's RTOs out there, registered training organisations, that are doing very well in specific industries. Yeah. So civil construction's doing very well in that arena. What else is doing quite well at the moment? Civil construction businesses. So, on the side of the road upgrades, all that sort of stuff. There's some good contracts out there with principals, and civil construction workers are doing quite well. Yeah. So you've got to do your research and you've got to pick your battles.
Yeah.
And you've got to have the confidence to go into it. It's not one day I want to wake up and I'm going to own a restaurant. I know nothing about restauranteering. I'm not a chef. Stick to what I know.
That's good advice for sure.
Stick to what you know and build on your strengths.
What about people who were thinking NDIS is the answer now?
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of changes in NDIS, a lot of compliance changes. If you've got to run, well, with the changes, they're pressing everyone now to be registered with the NDIS as a service provider.
That wasn't a requirement in the early days?
It was, but it wasn't pushed.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't pushed. I think there was an article on the news some weeks back that only a small percentage of NDIS providers were actually registered with the NDIS.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people rushing now to become NDIS registered. And it's not an easy process.
I would imagine.
And it's a costly process. And you've got to use an agency to step you through the process and build your portfolio of documents to be submitted to the NDIS.
Okay.
It's quite the process.
Yeah.
And it is costly. Firms charge anywhere from sort of 6,000 to 12,000 to get you registered. It is quite a process.
That's interesting. Okay, so we've talked about businesses that perform well in the current economy. We've talked about strategies with regards to people who are currently in business and how they can navigate the changes. What are some of the conversations that the business owners you work with what are some of the sort of behind closed doors conversations that you're sort of hearing from directors now, things that, might be unique to the times? Is there anything that is sort of being murmured in the background that sort of becomes, I guess, sort of concern or...
Look, I guess I'm a realist. So when I actually sit with my clients, we discuss pretty much every option that's out there.
Yeah.
Including, do we wind up? Do we liquidate the company?
Yeah, wow.
And look, they're hard conversations to have.
Yeah.
But sometimes when, your business is on that cusp of not making money, margins are hard to maintain, contracts are hard to maintain, workforce is hard to get, or skilled workforce is hard to get. You've got to discuss these options. What will it look like if we liquidate? Sell the equipment, wind down the business. What does that look like? Now, as I say, they're difficult conversations to have with people. And I've done that a few times with a couple of companies I work with, and they've been better off for it, closing down those arms of that business. It's made the business more viable, cash flow's improved, and also too, it takes away that headache from the business owner. It needs a lot of coaching with the business owner to get them to that point to sort of go, okay, being a realist, these things need to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. If a company's got a high level of short-term debt, including ATO,
Yes.
superannuation guarantee, because they haven't paid super.
I was going to ask you about that. Can I pause
Yeah.
you right there with the super thing?
Sure.
So recently they've changed the legislation with regards to how superannuation is paid. We now pay it
Correct.
at payday.
Yeah, so it's
rather
called
than-
payday super.
Yeah.
So if you're running payroll weekly,
Yeah.
you'll pay that super weekly.
Okay.
If you fortnightly, monthly, so on.
Yeah.
That's affected people's cash flow.
I've noticed that because I'm getting inquiries for people who are looking for, short-term funding or line of credit options to be able to sort of soften that ebb and flow as they move through the calendar year and towards where they used to be able to sort of put it off. And it's like, okay, now whether we've had a good month or a bad month, those bills have to be paid because the government does not wait.
And if you analyse those people's accounts, as an example, take construction industry or civil works industry, a lot of the big players don't pay for 30 or 60 days. So as a subby, I would be providing today the labour, the fuel, the equipment, the repairs and maintenance on the equipment, the insurances I need to be on that job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I can't invoice for that job until end of month, and then I don't get paid for another 30 days. So from day one, I'm sitting on that cost for like 60 days.
Yeah.
Now, and on top of that now, you're paying payday super.
Yeah.
So that super contribution that we're making, that's a big hit to cash flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That digs into margin.
Yeah.
Whereas people were paying it quarterly, we're now paying it weekly or fortnightly.
That's right.
So hence people are putting their hand out for short-term lending.
Absolutely.
Now, do we go back to old school and look at invoice factoring again? So selling our invoices up, getting the bank to pay 80%, and then on payment from the client,
Yep.
the bank will release, say, the last 18% and keep their 2% interest on those funds. Therefore, we're kind of getting our cash up front.
Yeah.
Do we go back and look at those models again? Overdrafts are becoming very expensive now.
Yeah.
What are they sitting between? Maybe 18 to 22% roughly.
Yeah. Even
depending
more,
upon the
even
risk.
More. Yep.
And it's easy to put a business in a risk category now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all, again, it's all in the planning. But these are all the things that you have to speak with your business owners about behind closed doors, and you've got to reveal all the truths in the business.
Yeah.
You know, what are all these triggers in the business and what's the domino effect? You know, how's it going to affect our cash flow? Where are we going to fall into that hole? Now, if you work this way with your business owners, you're going to build trust and respect quite quickly. But also too, what I find is it helps them be financially educated about their business.
Yeah.
And it gives them the power to make better decisions. To sort of say, as we were talking before, the difference between the new shiny Land Cruiser and the Chinese-made four-wheel drive. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Good segue.
Yeah. Yeah.
That actually reminded me, like, tell everyone, like, what made you decide to get into your current role? Like, so Blaze Business has been around for how many years again?
5 years.
5 years. What made you decide that this was the direction you wanted to head in?
Yeah, look, good question, Chad. I guess I've been self-employed now for near on 20 years.
Yeah.
Coming from a corporate accounting background. Looking how corporates used to work, what they would do as a strategy, what their financial forecasting was like, how much detail they went into, all the wheels in motion and all the cogs working in harmony together, taking that knowledge base down to small business, that's what really got me pumping.
Yes.
You know, giving back to business my knowledge base from that corporate background and bringing it down to a small business level and implementing strategies that allow those cogs to work smoother within small business. It makes me feel very satisfied, probably not quite the word, but yeah, it makes me feel very gratified to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, also the paycheck at the end of the day, but no. I'm very gratified for doing that and working with these owners and helping them achieve the best that they can achieve.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you know, we laugh it off, but you wouldn't get a paycheck if they didn't see substantial growth. If they didn't actually receive substantial benefit from working with you, nobody's getting paid, right? Like, this is the common thing that people forget is when they bring on someone like you, you're going to bring the knowledge and experience that they need to look past the blind spots within their sort of setups, their frameworks, things like employment contracts, for example. What would you say would be a very common blind spot that small business owners carry in their businesses that you sort of identify quickly? Yeah,
look, and this is not to... This is the difference between, I guess, our service at Blaze Business and Legal and other services we see out there. We're not a business mentor. Yes, we're business consultants, but we're business consultants that wind up our sleeves, get in there, get our hands dirty, implement, adjust, get feedback, make sure it works, real-world solutions for these guys to implement. There's a lot of consultants, unfortunately, out there that aren't prepared to go down to that micro level. And I find that's the best way to build trust with your client, and that's the best way to help them navigate moving forward. Because when you meet your client, sometimes it's just a kind of like a business educational gap, and they're looking for that knowledge. I need that knowledge to move forward.
Yeah.
And they're humble enough to say that. As you start working with them and showing them, and then showing them how it works and showing them how the outcomes are playing out. And that's where we've had a lot of success, you know, and that's what, as I say, that's what gives me a lot of gratification. Being able to sit there at the end of the day with the client and go, you know what, we actually did a good job here. We achieved what we set out to do. We're hitting our end game. You know, I've got 3 clients at the moment getting ready for their exit strategy.
Yeah, that would be a nice feeling.
And that's exciting.
Yeah.
Because we're getting to that milestone now. And we've kicked those goals to get there.
Yep.
And it's only a few years over the horizon that we're ready to push the go button on the exit strategy.
Yeah, wow. So that would be, I mean, that's why I got into, you know, like I've been in the finance industry for over 20 years. And I think the real shift for me was when I changed from just looking at it as a job, but actually really found finance as a vehicle to help people actually pursue their dreams. to actually go forward and say, I've got a vision, I've got an idea, I want to do this with my life, and I need someone to align with me to help me find that capital when it's required, to help find the strategy that I need to be able to take my business from, the 7 to the 10. And some of the most rewarding times for me is when you walk through a business owner's facility, they show you through, everything that they've built, and they talk with this sense of passion and pride that is built from the challenges and the strife and the sleepless nights and the staff issues and the economic challenges and everything that they've got to go through to get to where they're getting. And to have somebody that's on the end of that and can look back and go, wow, what a ride. That would be quite fulfilling.
And look, it's good to be, as I sort of put it to a lot of business owners, you're part of their corporate team. Even though you're on call effectively, or you're an hourly rate, but you get that intimate with their business that they see you as an advisor to the business.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the most wonderful feeling, and you share the journey with them.
Yes.
There's a lot to go with business psychology, and making sure, you're keeping your client in a place that's a good place, whether or not that, as you say, assisting them with finance, walking around their facility, seeing how their facility is growing, and seeing what you're doing for them and helping them achieve their outcome. You know?
Well, that's the thing about, that a lot of people don't realize. Like, a lot of people, they sort of think, oh, my life lacks purpose. One of the things that is inspiring about entrepreneurship is that the people you meet with the right mindset, they're people focused. It's not about the bottom line per se. That everyone needs to make money. We all need to survive. And look, if you're not growing, you're dying in business. That's just fundamental. But what I think gives the majority of business owners the sort of greatest level of significance and job satisfaction is they're bringing people on that journey. They've got staff. They've got a community that they're engaged in. They're bringing services and they're bringing energy into the world around them that would only be possible through the risks that they've taken. And, that feels amazing.
Look, absolutely. And I look at, the couple of business owners we share in terms of finance and my service.
Yeah. And they speak so highly of you.
Thank you very much. And yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. No, I was literally talking to a client of yours today, and the last thing she said to me, she says, oh, I know Shannon's got my back. Just talk to him.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it's lovely. And look, same feedback I get about yourself.
I'm glad.
Chad's good, straightforward to work with, straight shooter, looks at options for me, shops the deal, shows us even if the interest rate is slightly less, what the application fees are, outlines the process to us, assists where he can for smooth documentation transfer, getting accountant sign off. So there's a lot that goes into what we both do for our clients.
Absolutely.
They're so very grateful for our services and how we look after them as a team.
That's it.
And how we openly share information about the client so it is a smooth transition.
That's it. That's we're in the people business. Ultimately, it's not, all these cliches you hear, it's not who you know or what you know, it's who you know. It couldn't be more true in business. At the end of the day, like, your reputation is built day by day, hour by hour, could be destroyed in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
So you have to hold yourself to a high level of integrity, and you have to work with people that you believe in, that have your clients' interests in mind.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't hesitate to recommend anyone who wants to take their business to the next level, needs somebody with a background in that can look at the financials, that can actually look at their long-term strategy and say to them, yeah, these are the changes that need to be made. This is the way that you should be sort of addressing the future that you are heading towards. How do people get in touch with you, Shannon?
Look, to be honest with you, a lot of it's word of mouth.
Yeah,
it's referral.
Of course.
We are doing a lot of SEO work at the moment around our Blaze Business and Legal website, similar to your journey with your business, like we all do. We want a digital presence. I have a wonderful business partner. She's a lawyer. But she's more than a lawyer. She's also a business consultant, a very good civil construction lawyer at the same time.
Yeah.
But she's got a very good commercial eye for detail as well. Rachel puts a lot of effort into the build of our website, the articles she writes and posts on LinkedIn, the links she puts on the website about various information. She's very detailed and very meticulous about what she does. She's amazing with our clients as well.
Yeah.
I know you guys Rachel and yourself haven't had a lot of crossover, but when Rachel and I engage in our business clients, she does a wonderful job. Yeah. And, as I say, word of mouth, tax accountants often refer us to clients.
Yeah.
Clients refer us to clients. And as I say, at the moment, website presence.
Well, for anyone who's listened to the podcast, loves what you're about, wants to get in touch themselves,
Sure.
Where would you direct them today?
Let's have a look at, first of all, check out our website, blazebusinessandlegal.com.au. Alternatively, you can give me a call on 0434 543 212. Leave your name, number, message. We'll give you a buzz back.
Yeah, I'll make sure that all your details are in all the description links for this
Thank
podcast. You. And Shannon, as always, I love talking to you.
You're same.
Love to have you on the show again in the near future.
I would love that.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you for the experience.
Cheers.